Recompile is a 3D Metroidvania style game where you play as a computer program inside a computer with cool sci-fi Tron-like graphics. The question then is it ready for install or should it be wiped? More importantly, is it worthy of your precious time and hard drive space? There are surprisingly few third-person 3D Metroidvania style games, so I was definitely interested in what Recompile had to offer. Very much in the style of Metroid games, when the game begins, your character is practically worthless. He can barely run and jump and can't attack in any way at all. You'll have to find a little upgrade pod in order to unlock new abilities. Standard stuff for Metroid veterans, really. The environments were somewhat lacking in those typical video gamey design language clues. What I mean by this is that the correct path to take was frequently something like a pipe on the side of a structure. More specifically, the correct path was frequently to walk on something that in most other games is usually nothing more than a background detail. I adjusted to it rather quickly, and I suppose there's something to be said for the efficiency of the background detail stuff becoming the main path. With all that said, I'm not sure if it was a good thing or a bad thing, it just stood out to me during my time. The other main takeaway I got from the game was that the combat controls are straight up terrible. Your character slows to a crawl when they're aiming down their sights, and yet, as far as I could tell, you can't even shoot your weapon without aiming first, and there's no melee attack, at least so far. This made it incredibly awkward to try to dodge nearby enemies and then attack them, even after unlocking the game's shotgun mode. I also found it a little strange that in the first hour, I had unlocked 3 different weapon modes. Regular, one that was a faster rate of fire but weaker, and one that was essentially a shotgun. Strangely, none of them seemed to have any environmental differences, so unlike in a typical Metroidvania, they did nothing to open up new areas on the map. The new unlocks also didn't seem to be objectively better than what I already had, just different. The levels themselves consist mostly of trying to activate switches to send power to upgrade terminals or to terminals that open up new areas. I found these to be actually pretty well thought out for the most part. Toward the end of my hour, I unlocked a dash ability, which then let me solve a puzzle where I had to flip a switch that supplied power to a terminal but also created a force field, and now I could simply dash my way through before the force field had fully activated. It wasn't terribly complicated, but it was satisfying and it felt like a good old-fashioned Metroid puzzle. In the end, there's a lot to like here, and a fair amount that simply isn't good enough. To get to the decent platforming and puzzle sections, you'll have to deal with some truly awful combat. The environments are simple and sparse, and I wouldn't expect them to vary much more than a color palette swap over the course of the game, given the setting. If you're a fan of Metroidvanias, well, Recompile is certainly one of those. Overall, I would say that it is maybe worth your time and hard drive space. Thank you for watching.